Okay, so it's been a while since I played video games, besides the casual Fortnite with the homies. It's been even longer since I played a Five Nights at Freddy's game, around 4 years to be exact. I mean, Security Breach was launched on the 16th of December 2021, and I'm not gonna lie, that's got me thinking, Five Nights at Freddy's x Fortnite collab, when? Anyway, during a work meeting the other morning, we were discussing what videos to make next for the E.I.E channel. We're also aware that it's been a while since we made videos for the channel about any new horror games. That's when the topic of the new FNAF, Secrets of the Mimic, came up in conversation. We went on to watch a trailer and I knew I was immediately hooked. This looked like something new for the franchise. I mean, we've gotten FNAF in 3D before, but this just looked like something on a whole new level. And yes, I'm gonna say FNAF, because I'm not gonna say Five Nights at Freddy's every single time. What do you guys call it? My initial thoughts of the trailer were, this looks like a real horror game. And I know that all FNAF games are technically horror games, but Security Breach felt something more along the lines of an action-adventure set in a futuristic kids theme park, where this just looks and feels like a horror game. I mean that with the most respect. It looked like something you could put alongside the Resident Evils and the Silent Hills. The atmosphere and vibes I got from the trailer felt so dark and eerie, something right up my alley. Needless to say, I was stoked. So I hopped onto Steam, paid my $40, and I was ready. I had no idea what I was getting myself in for, but I was ready. The story and lore. Alright, before we get into the gameplay, let's talk about what's actually going on in Secrets of the Mimic, because the story here is way deeper than I expected. So the basics are, you play as Arnold, a Fazbear Entertainment technician stuck working a 36-hour shift, which honestly is the first red flag. He gets sent to Murray's Costume Manor, this old factory where a contractor named Edwin Murray used to work. Edwin's gone missing and Fazbear wants Arnold to go in and grab some company property. Sounds simple enough, right? Except, someone's still in the building, and it's not Edwin. Here's what you'll find inside. The place is weird. There's this welcome show with animatronics that immediately glitch out, forcing Arnold deeper into the factory's back rooms. And then things get really unsettling. Dead technicians stuffed in suits, a rogue endoskeleton called the Mimic that can hide in any animatronic and copy behavior, including violence. Dispatch, the voice guiding Arnold, who might not be who they say they are. And as Arnold explores, he starts finding audio logs and film reels that piece together Edwin's story. Turns out, Edwin built the Mimic to replace his son after a tragedy. But instead, it copied Edwin's anger and grief. Now it's loose, and it's not happy. What connections does this have to larger Five Nights lore? If you've read the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, you might recognize the Mimic from there. But even if you haven't, the game does a good job at making it stand on its own. Also some weird secrets like the moon.exe ending that feel like they're hinting at bigger things. Maybe even a link to Glitch Trap or other Fazbear experiments. So yeah, the story's a lot darker and more personal than I thought it'd be. It's less about jump scares and more about the slow, creeping horror of what the Mimic is. But enough about that. Let's talk about what other people thought of Five Nights at Freddy's Secrets of the Mimic. Reviews, reactions, and commercial performance. Before diving into my own gameplay, let's review what the community and critics thought about the game. Secrets of the Mimic is sitting with mostly positive reviews on Steam, which is already a great sign. The game is getting praise for its animation and graphics across multiple review sites, which I totally agree with. The game looks and sounds great, as well as terrifying all at the same time. The developers did a great job with setting up the atmosphere of the game, as well as the replayability aspect is on point. The use of the data diver to unlock doors and collect upgrades makes backtracking to previous areas feel interesting and really evokes the sense that you're getting stronger as you progress throughout the game. The new FNAF game has also received favorable reviews on Metacritic with a user score of 8.1. One critic gave the game a score of 84 and went on to say, FNAF's Secret of the Mimic is carried by the franchise, not the gameplay. But it's still more Five Nights at Freddy's, and that's more than enough for fans. Lore, world building, creepy animatronics, it's all here, and with great graphical performance and optimization to boot. Another critic left a score of 75 in a review saying, Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic is one of the best Five Night games in recent memory, despite its issues. It reaches highs nearly comparable to the series' heyday, while never quite reaching for the lows of Security Breach. It's also a good entry point for new fans, which is a rarity in this franchise. Which is a review I totally agree on. It feels like a big deviation from the classic FNAF games, but it's still an amazing starting point for new fans wanting to learn about the franchise with a fresh perspective. On a financial end, the game launched on PC, PS5, and Xbox. with the game selling over 153,000 copies on Steam in the first 10 days. The FNAF series is known for having lower development budgets compared to its AAA titles, but this hasn't stopped it from achieving significant financial success. I feel like the trajectory of this game could lead to a few sequels that take the idea and run with it. Streamers and YouTubers have also been enjoying the game, with positive feedback and jump scares all round. I mean, who isn't watching Markiplier play the new FNAF game? But first, it's my turn to find out what secrets the Mimic holds. Time for my full gameplay breakdown. The game starts with you being locked out of a big building with the letters MCM on top. After breaking in through a side door, we are greeted by a full-on stage production. This welcome song goes on until a door in front of you is about to open, but instead, all the animatronics start glitching out on stage and the door gets stuck. I wonder whose job it's going to be to fix it. After heading into the back rooms of the facility, we make use of our data diver, a retro-futuristic, glorified USB device that you use for everything in this game. Seriously, it dictates what doors and areas you can access. It accesses the machines you need to progress through the game, and I actually like this mechanic, as it doesn't overcomplicate the amount of tools and heads-up displays you need. Pretty sleek, if I must say. Anyway, you use that to open the door to the security office. Finally, some familiar territory. Once in there, we hear the voice of dispatch, calling you on the radio sitting next to the office computer. He then gives you a rundown of the facility and your objectives for the rest of the game. Classic homage to the first FNAF game. In their monologue, they also mention that you're not alone in the facility, and you're actually accompanied by a rogue AI developed by Murray himself, who is now haunting the facility. Its name is the Mimic, and it's aptly named that because it can mimic the shape and size of any of the animatronics scattered throughout the MGM facility. After I upgraded my security clearance with a minigame on the computer, I left the office for my first mission and noticed all the animatronic bodies as well as potential jump scares lying around. With the addition of all the lockers and hiding spots scattered throughout the level, I quickly realized that this is going to be a very run and hide experience. And that was true. Throughout the game you don't fight back much, but rather avoid the animatronics. Think of horror games like Outlast or even FNAF Security Breach, but again, less fighting back. The first mission was to fix the power. I made my way over to the power generator and found myself in yet another minigame/puzzle. This is another one that shows up a few times throughout the game. It's pretty simple. You need to rotate the plates to allow the molten lava to pass through the pipes and get to the other side. Think of the old school game Plumber. After that, you make your way to the main hallway. You collect the crank and open up the next door. Once you enter the gate, you encounter the Mimic for the first time, and it's gone and possessed a giant elephant animatronic. Well, not actually giant, but I think most animatronics are giant compared to humans. You get a bunch of wind-up mice or other distractions to use on your enemies throughout the game, but to be honest, I didn't use any of them, because I'm a stealth ninja. So, I hid in the locker until he left and snuck my way out of there. After I made it into the manager's office, I found a crank on a giant box, turned it a few times, and out popped Jackie. Jackie is a giant jack-in-the-box that scared the living bejesus out of me. Once I headed back into the manager's office, her incredibly long arms stretched into the room and made quick work of the manager, tossing him through a wall. She then begins the first boss encounter as she chases me through the facility. Jackie was hunting me as I ran down long hallways, crouched in narrow spaces, and dodged her around every corner. The chase was pretty intense, and there isn't much wiggle room for the timing, and standing still for 1 second longer than you're supposed to can spell out instant death. I do have some gripes for the game here, as it loses its horror ambience in these sections and becomes more of a timing/memory game for the majority of the chase. I ended up trapping Jackie under a huge door as I ninja'd my way into another crawl space, where Jackie snuck up on me again and made us both fall to our doom. I woke up to find myself staring right back at the security office. Next, I had to make my way to the big top showroom. Well, that's what dispatch said, but who are they to be giving me orders? Seriously though, who are they? On the way there, I reset the welcome shows so that I could finally get into that door. After that, I found Mr. Helpful. Him and Mrs. Helpful are two animatronics scattered throughout the facility that are designed to, well, you know, help, in their name. He guided me on how to repair the elevator, which was another interesting little minigame. Once I got into the showroom, I did another power minigame where I had to make the lava cross the road safely again. Then, it was time for another boss encounter. When I put the power on, a ticket machine unloaded a ticket, which I then used to give to the giant music man in the big top showroom. There are 3 minigames in the room which you need to complete in order to earn 3 more tickets to give to the music man. The minigames are pretty simple. Just point and shoot classic carnival games. The real difficulty is after finishing each game, you have to do a stealth section to get back to the power generator minigame from before. I only had to do the minigame like 3 more times, which was actually quite annoying, but I finally found all my tickets and won the prize. What was the prize, you asked? A data diver upgrade, and another near-death chase experience. Yay me! I made my way onto the roof after upgrading, and it began. The music man started tearing the building apart, chasing me through a bunch of hallways like Jackie did. After destroying everything in its path trying to get to me, the music man met its end when collapsing through the ceiling. I really thought I was a goner there. But when I woke up, I saw that the giant animatronic had thankfully met its demise. It was time to head back to the security room for some more sketchy instructions from untrustworthy dispatch. I then made my way to the workshops, where I snuck around, collected a bunch of parts and built my very own spring lock suit. After that, the other animatronics were surprisingly friendly to me. Well, only when I was wearing the suit. I hopped out of it a few times to do another power lava puzzle, and then went on to start the puppet show. I did another platforming minigame. No, not platforming game, but a platforming minigame. I literally had to move some platforms around until I got to the puppet show balcony. At the puppet show, I saw Foxy the pirate for the first time. He was getting into trouble for throwing a party. I helped him by shooting a bunch of balloons and decorations until the Rocktopus showed up. I then shot him down too. I will say, I was quite annoyed with this encounter because there wasn't really an explanation of what you should do. And every time it resets, you need to listen to the whole dialogue over and over again. This got annoying fast, and it happened a few other times throughout the game. Developers, please fix this. Like, when you finish a level or you gotta restart it, just cut out the dialogue, just let us start playing, come on. Anyway, I helped Foxy, took down the Rocktopus, and went plummeting through the floor yet again. Luckily, I had my spring lock suit on this time. This time I woke up while being attended to by the creepiest animatronic nurse in existence. Dolly. Dolly thought I was an animatronic and wanted to remove the human organs from my suit. Not really the best idea, as I was the human organs inside my suit. She chased me around the doll hospital for a good long while until I used some compacted trash to knock her into a giant pool of molten lava. You know what they say, some trash a day keeps the evil animatronic nurse dolls away, right? Just when I thought I was out of there, Dolly straight up busted a hole through the lava container and she began chasing me around as Molten Dolly. She chased me all around the facility till I eventually managed to make a getaway in another elevator. Just my luck, as the elevator got stuck and I had to do another minigame to repair it. Once the repair was done, the Molten Doll returned, but this was bad because she was now on top of my elevator lift out of here. I used what I learned from the last minigame and sent the elevator all the way to the top, crushing Molten Dolly in the process. Finally, I was free. After escaping Dolly's clutches, dispatch informed me that I needed to go to the admin wing. On the way there, I encountered a wild chica. I was excited to see her again, although I don't think she was as excited to see me. I avoided her while doing some more power lava minigames and escaped the area. I did some more platforming and got to the admin wing. Once there, I found cupcakes, but not the good kind, the evil animatronic kind. They kept giving away my location and helping Chica catch me, but after a few tries, I upgraded my data diver clearance and made my way out of there. I finally made it to the main office where I ended up finding the Mimic's blueprints. I was so happy that the Mimic was not. It sent Chica hurling after me, but I made a quick ninja escape through another vent. Once I was out of there, I ended up deep in the tunnels of Murray Costume Manor. It was really dark and eerie down there. But to be honest, yet again, this was the only part of the game that actually scared me. It's down there that I came face to face with a pair of creepy eyes that have been following me around the whole night. Tiger Rock. Tiger Rock is another creepy animatronic that pops out throughout the facility but seems to live in the tunnels. I made quick work of it, making sure to keep my eyes on the robot so that it didn't move. Yeah, it's one of those red light, green light situations where if you look at it, it'll stop moving kind of thing. I'm sure you get what I'm saying. Like I said, it was really scary there, so I ran as fast as I could and I eventually made it back to the security office. As I was calming myself down in the office after the chase, dispatch was congratulating me, saying that all I needed to do was return the data diver and I could go home. But something felt off. Something also sounded off. The dispatcher's voice was changing and I started to believe that dispatch was the Mimic all along. I remember seeing a special program on the office computer called Parachute.exe, and now that I had executive permission, I was able to run it. I started the program and a secret hatch opened up beneath the couch. Dispatch was not happy about that, and as soon as I dropped in there, the jig was up. Dispatch was the Mimic all along, and they weren't playing coy anymore. They wanted me dead. I escaped through the tunnel and ended up in a prototype of the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. I had no idea this was here, so this is what Murray was working on for Fazbear Entertainment. While I was there, the Mimic possessed another bot made up of unused Fazbear animatronic parts to chase me down. It was basically a Fazbear Frankenstein. I ended up finding some prototype Fredbear and Spring Bonnie spring-locked suits of my own, which I used to hide away in. It turns out I had to use them to trigger sensors that drained all the security room's power and weakened the Mimic. This is like the opposite of the original games, and this time, I'm the animatronic. From there, I was determined to get the hell out of here. The first time I played this, I actually got soft-locked by these sensors in a locked door, and couldn't finish the game without starting the whole thing over. Developers, please fix this! Anyway, once I got into the office, I found a giant computer with the markings F10 to N4 written on it. I wonder what that means, and is this where the voice of Dispatch / the Mimic was coming from? After finding out some messed up news about the family, Fiona asks us to deliver a message to Mary as she opens the door, allowing us into a cart that we ride all the way to the Murray mansion. After stepping out the cart and doing some more puzzles while ninja sneaking around the Mimic, I made my way to the attic, hoping to find a way out of here. I found Murray's old home office completely destroyed, and after snooping around, I used the computer to open the surveillance room. I went in and found another computer with a program called Cradle.exe on it. I activated the program, spun around, only to find the Mimic lurking right behind me. But this time, he didn't have a costume on at all. The Mimic looks way scarier as an exoskeleton. Just saying. I used the same trick on him as I did with Chica in the hallway, but this time he stops the door just before it shuts. Before wanting to find out what he does next, I ran off to the passageway on the left. I activated the power generator to lift the obstacles and finally got into the elevator. Once I got down, I had to destroy carts blocking my way by activating the track that they're on. After that, the Mimic climbed down the shaft, beginning the chase again. So I activated a few levers and made my way to another room filled with computers lined up against the walls. I found some more levers to pull, and that led me into another hallway that led me onto a bridge suspended over a giant pool of molten lava. Is this also giving anyone Terminator vibes? I avoided and fought the Mimic over suspended paths until I finally escaped into another vent shaft. Thank the heavens that the Mimic was too big to fit in there. I found another cart with Mr. Helpful in it. I then hopped in and rode the cart to safety. I eventually made it outside. I could see my van in the distance. Without a second thought, I booked it into the driver's seat and let the tires screech as I made my way home. But it wasn't long until I realized that the Mimic was on his way home with me too. And that's it. That's my experience in Murray's Costume Manor. How did it compare to yours? I know that there's like another secret ending for the game. Did you guys find it? Or did the Mimic get you before you could escape? So where does this leave us now? Secrets of the Mimic was a great time, despite it feeling more like a time memory game in some sections rather than a horror experience. I feel the overall impression it gave fans is only going to leave them wanting more. It wouldn't be surprising to see a sequel announced in the future. I mean, especially with the fact that the follow-up to the 2024 FNAF movie is coming out soon. The Fazbear hype is real. Overall, the game didn't really reshape the FNAF timeline, but it totally expanded it more. With this game being set before the FNAF Pizzeria even existed, it left me thinking that William Afton might actually have been the fall guy for the Mimic's antics all along. But that's just a theory. A game theory. To do that. Anyway, what did you guys think? Leave your comments below on whether you think it's William Afton or the Mimic that's actually the big bad behind the wacky animatronic universe. Time for my final rating and verdict. Overall, I give the game 7.5 Rockstar Freddy's out of 10. I feel like the franchise really took what worked well with Security Breach and amplified it. There were a few scary moments and tricky puzzles, but often found myself having to repeat sections due to not having split-second timing. This in turn broke the immersion in terms of the horror aspect for me, as I would just ignore all the scary things and focused rather on completing the mission. I would have given the game a higher score if it weren't for the game-breaking 7-hour wasting soft locks and the long dialogue scenes every time you had to restart a mission. What did you guys think? Please let me know in the comments what you enjoyed about the game, or what parts jump-scared you out of your chairs. I would really love to know. Also, What do you think the ending meant? Did you find the secret ending, or did you just leave the haunted manor the moment dispatch said you could? So that was Five Nights at Freddy's, Secrets of the Mimic. We took down a bunch of scary animatronics, did some amazing ninja sneaking, and found out all the secrets the Mimic had to hold. Or did we? If you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like or a comment. If you really enjoyed it, why don't you subscribe to stay up to date with future videos? We upload very often here on the E.I.E Animations channel, so don't miss out. Until next time, stay awesome and stay tuned. We'll see you guys in the next one.